from all the women I've coached, I see them go from this person of like a little more timid, a little more like reserved, a little more quieter, into like doing things that put them out of their comfort zone, and I think that really comes from like you go into the gym, like say it's your first few weeks and you're feeling a little like, oh, like it's a male dominated space, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Like a few months later, you're walking in like confident and proud of yourself and you know what you're doing. That just doesn't stop at the gym door. That has a ripple effect in your life outside, because like, well, if I can do that, if I can squat however many pounds or kg, what else can I do?
Awesome, Sarah. Well, welcome to the show. I'm so stoked to be doing this. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Me too. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Do you do very many podcasts and stuff?
I have done a few, not like consistently, but I've been on a few different ones.
Nice.
I started my own and was consistent with it and then fell off a bit. But
Nice.
been thinking about doing it again.
You should.
Yeah.
Podcasting is literally the best. So
Yeah, it's a good way to connect with other people from afar
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, for
record some
sure.
good combos.
Yep. Well, so the reason I wanted to get you on is literally anytime I love your account. I love everything that you post. And literally every time I've shared any of your content, it resonates so hard with my audience and it pops off. So I wanted to do that so we could actually come on here and get into some of these, the substance of that versus just like these little quick little Instagram things. Because I love your philosophies. I love how much you talk about how important it is for women to strength train and to be strong in that kind of stuff. So before we dive in, give a little bit of background on like your story, like what got you here and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I started my fitness journey with a lot of HIIT workouts, with a lot of TRX ropes, Bosu balls, outdoor workouts in the park, and that was good. That was fun, and it got me to like a certain place of where I wanted to go,
Sure.
which was like to feel good and to look good, and back then to be as skinny as possible. So I was like doing that thing where I wasn't eating a lot, just salads all day, every day. Lots of intense exercise every single day, like in the mindset of do more, see more change. And yeah, that lasted for a while, and it only got me to a certain point where I just started
Sure.
to feel exhausted, like have a lot of gut health issues, and just like was like, I'm kind of over just getting really skinny and just like feeling like shit all the time when I'm actually doing so much work to get to a place where I want to go. So that was like a long journey, and then I eventually I went to this powerlifting gym. It's like a powerlifting strongman gym here in San Diego. And I saw like a poster on the wall, and it was a powerlifting meet. And there was a guy in the gym, and he was like, "You should do it." I was like, "It's in 2 weeks," and he's like, "Yeah, just do it. Just show up and do it." And I was just like, I am looking for another way to challenge myself versus just how I look and how I feel, but like, because it gets kind of boring just like looking at your body all the time and being like, I want to
Right.
look this way, and I'm showing up to look a certain way. But yeah, I did it, and I fell in love with just like lifting really heavy, and it just changed the whole game for me, just to become as strong as possible and big and like strong and not being like small and like shrinking myself anymore. It was just, yeah, a game changer.
I love that. I love that so much. I think it's interesting why so much of like the gross diet culture is still always in that place of get as small as possible, be as lean as possible, and be as skinny as possible. But it's so important. I think it is at least for it to go the other way, where it's so important to be strong. It's so important to be confident in all those kind of things. So
Yeah, it's like everything. It's like you want to get better at being a human. Like you want to get better at hiking. You want to get better at like moving things that like in your house. You want to get better. I don't know if I can say this in your podcast, but if you want to get better in bed, like it's like the foundations to all movements.
yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. tell other women who are scared they're going to get big and bulky? Because that's like that's still like the thing, right? Where so many people are afraid you touch a dumbbell and you're going to look like an IFBB pro or something.
Yeah, yeah. I wish that was a problem. Like I wish that was the case. Everyone would be going around just ripped, all the time.
Yeah.
But it's not like that. It's not. It's like not easy as that to get that big or that strong. It takes a lot of years, and I think it's easy to think that if you like look at someone's Instagram, you go onto their page and you're like, oh, they must have just did one workout and look like that, because it's like this instant perception of how things are, like a transformation picture. But I would say it's hard to experience it, or it's hard to explain it unless you've experienced it. And I think one of the biggest things is that instead of focusing on like how it's going to make you look all the time, like putting all your eggs in that basket, just focus on how it makes you feel. Like, is it making you feel more confident outside of the gym? Is it like making you stand different? Like, are you like, your body language, is it more confident? Are you doing things that you were scared of, that you're more open to doing now because you have seen yourself do all these, things that you never thought you could do in the gym? So there's just so much more to it than just getting big and looking big. And I get it. Like, I get that it can make you feel like you're going to turn into a man or look like a beast. But like I'm lifting is the heaviest I've ever lifted. I'm at the lowest body weight I've ever been at. And I feel the most feminine I've ever felt.
That's awesome. I think people don't realize how hard it is to build muscle. Like I know men who are on steroids who are excited to gain 6 pounds of muscle in a year. Like men on steroids, like the whole night. It is the best analogy I've heard is I'm like, for people who say I don't want to lift weights because I might get big and bulky. It's I don't want to open up a business because I might become a millionaire. It's like it is not that easy.
Exactly.
So
it's not. And it's like, it's different for everyone too. It could be like your genetics could make things a little slower. And, it's like, if that is a big fear of yours, then try it, and you can always pull back. It's pretty easy. It's easier to lose it than it is to gain it, So like, if that is think about it. If you have this fear of getting so big, if you get too big, then just cut back, Yeah. But I think at that stage, I've never had a client or heard a woman be like, no, I'm done being strong now. I don't want to do it anymore.
So it's funny. One of the things that you said, I have it pulled up. One of my favorite posts of yours, and this was like when I first started resharing your content, that went off in my community was the post that said, one thing I love about lifting heavy is that you start believing you can do hard things, and it has a ripple effect on everything. Or I'm sorry, it has a ripple effect on your everyday life outside of the gym. Talk about that.
I would say, like, from all the women I've coached, I see them go from like this person of like a little more timid, a little more like reserved, a little more quieter, into like doing things that put them out of their comfort zone, and I think that really comes from like, you go into the gym, like say it's your first few weeks and you're feeling a little like, oh, like it's a male dominated space. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't know if everyone's looking at me. They're like just feeling a bit anxious. And like a few months later, you're walking in like confident and proud of yourself and you know what you're doing. Like, that just doesn't stop at the gym door. That has a ripple effect in your life outside, because like, well, if I can do that, if I can squat however many pounds or kg, what else can I do? Why should I stop there? And it starts to like build this like a belief in yourself of that you can do anything.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important. I think it's one of the easiest ways to start transforming your mental strength, your fortitude, your mental capabilities is just start lifting heavy shit. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so let me ask you this, where for someone, what would you tell someone who is newer to strength training that like, all right, I know I should do it, but I've always just been a cardio bunny. Where do I even start? Where does someone even start with this stuff?
Where do you start? I would say start smaller. Like, so if you first like asking yourself how many days you can commit and keep it realistic. I think like a lot of people hold back on starting or hold back on even approaching a coach to ask for help because they're like, they're going to make me go to the gym like 7 days a week. They're going to have me in there hours a day kind of thing. But it's important to look at your life realistically and like if you're not going to the gym at all right now, like how can you expect to go 5 days a week all of a sudden? So like maybe it's 2 days, you know, maybe it's 2 days, maybe it's 3, or maybe you do 2 and then after a month of being consistent, you add on a third day. So I think the first thing is just being realistic on where you're at now and where you want to be. And like why haven't you done it already? You know, what's stopping you? Asking those questions. And I know it's not in everyone's budget or reach, but I think hiring a coach is a good start, obviously, because it's your technique, your form, you know what you're doing. When you go in, you don't have to question, self-doubt, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Well, you can always, like I always tell people, you can always add more later. Like as in,
Right.
If you start off going from nothing to 6 days a week, you're gonna get hurt, right? And you can hurt the relationship with exercise and stuff. Versus if you start off 2 or 3, you can go, all right, I can handle more, then go to 4, and nothing bad happens. You know?
Right. And you feel successful because you're like, oh, I started at 2 and now I'm at 3 instead of going to, I went from 0 to 5 and I lasted 2 weeks and now I'm a failure.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we talk about on my show a lot is my show's called Dieting from the Inside Out. So we talk a lot about the mindset and inner game side of things. So are there specific mindset things that you like to teach your clients that seem to really help with all of this stuff?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, especially because I coach a lot of women who maybe have been feeling a little bit of self-doubt in themselves. I think one of the biggest things is, first of all, like tracking your lifts, and you might think like, why is that a mindset thing? But it's like, if you start at a certain weight and then by the second week, you're like, okay, I did that much last week, I can do a little bit more, you know, and that adds up over time. So it's like, it helps your self-doubt and keep it safe too, because you're like not going from 0 to 100 and then hurting yourself and failing and feeling unsuccessful. So I think one thing that I work with my women a lot is just the mindset of like self-belief, but small steps over time.
How do you get someone to believe in themselves who don't? Like if someone's like, I want to be able to believe in myself, but I just don't know how, where would you start someone?
I think it starts with committing to something and following through with it.
That's so simple, but so profound. Because I feel like when someone has low self-belief, it's they don't have a good track record with themselves. You know what I mean? They're unreliable to themselves. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you're like we were saying about going from 0 gym workouts to 5 and you fail with that, you start to talk yourself down. You know, you start to think, well, I failed that, you know, I might as well, like I can't do this other thing I want to commit to. I can't apply for this job I want to apply to because you don't believe in yourself to follow through with it. But if you do something that maybe is a little scary, a little out of your comfort zone, and you get through it, that starts to build this like confidence in yourself of like, okay, I can do these scary things and I can overcome them. Even if I'm scared, it doesn't matter. I'll still do it, you know? And it's like, it's just like training, putting in the reps.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day because we trained together. Strength training is vulnerable. Like the first time, so I'm right now, I'm the strongest I've ever been. I just hit a new squat PR. But the first time I stepped under, right now my squat PR is 465. But the first time I stepped under it, I'm like, like let's, because I was also an idiot and went from 405 to 465. I didn't just throw tens on because I'm a meathead, right? Well, but it's vulnerable because like I'm like, what if I don't get it? But you know what? I'm gonna fucking get under and give it my all.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, and I hit it, you know, and it changes the way you think.
Yeah. It changes the way, well, congrats on your PR, first of all. It's amazing.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was actually looking at the mic'd workout you did with your wife, and so funny. She's just like, I'm not even awake.
Yeah.
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 So good. It's just
that
like
was
real.
an earlier workout. Well, yeah.
Real
Well, what's
stuff.
funny was I was how those pieces of content came about was I always take my camera to the gym and just like record sets, but then I see people just have like weight room banter, and I just set my camera really far away, and I would just say stupid shit. But then I looked at my wife and I go, I feel like I should mic you, and she goes, okay. So I just gave her my other one, and everyone loved it. Where they just see us bullshit back and forth all day. It's fucking great.
I love it. I want to do that with my boyfriend.
You should do that. That would be awesome. Like, I think people would love to see that if you just put a vlog camera up and put a wireless mic and,
Right.
you know, so.
Yeah, because it's like you come out, you get so giddy in the gym sometimes, I do. And you're just like, it's like a little playground for adults. But
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and as well as how you talk to yourself when you're going for that squat PR, you know? I think that's you like, well, maybe you're not shouting it out loud, but I'm sure people will, you know, benefit to know what you're saying to yourself as you're going to hit that squat PR.
Yeah, like I have to be careful because like when I was stepping under it, part of me is like, should I put the parallel bars? No, we're not even putting that out there. Like, what if I don't? Like, my first thought is, what if I have to dump it? But I'll catch myself in the middle of that, and I won't even finish it. Like, my first thought of doubt goes, what if I? No, I'm gonna fucking crush this. I'm gonna fucking rip this bar off.
No other option.
No. Well, so one of the things that I'm curious if you do this. So if I have a bad lift off, I'll re-rack it, because for me, because it messes with my head. If I lift off and it feels heavy, the set's terrible. But if I lift off and I'm like, nope, I'll reset it, get my mind right, and then lift off, and now we're ready to get to work, because the frame of mind changes everything.
Right. Yeah, I definitely take my time with the setup and make sure that it's like the same each time, and making sure that that bar is coming off the squat rack like a toothpick, you know? But yeah, I agree. The lift off makes such a difference, because it's like if you unrack, you're like, oh shit, this is heavy, you know? Or you unrack and you're confident, it's like, I'm going to get this.
Totally. I think it would help everyone too, because I think everyone who struggles with like the idea of strength training, or especially women who are afraid or a little intimidated to get into the gym and start lifting heavy, I think it would benefit for you to talk about, because I know everyone's plans are different based on their goals, but I think it would be beneficial to talk about like what your strategy, like your training plan looks like, where people, well, I'm sure, look at you and go like, I would love to look like Sarah. I'd love to have Sarah's confidence, but they're like, wait, Sarah does that? Sarah does what? You know what I mean?
Right now, which a lot of people are actually surprised to hear, is I'm only doing 4 days of training a week. And I've done that for the last probably 6 years. I've tried 5 days, and it actually doesn't work for me, because it doesn't give me enough time to recover. So with 4 days, because I do like to train hard when I do those 4 days, and then I have rest days, and on the rest days I'll walk. I do relaxing yoga once a week, sometimes twice, but making sure that like I'm not combining like other intense lifting or exercise with the training. I'm making sure like I train hard and I rest even harder, you know?
I think that's so overlooked. I think people, like, I know people who on their rest days, they're doing like HIIT cardio. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I think people don't realize how important, talk about that, how important rest is in recovery for the goals of getting stronger, fat loss, and those kind of things.
Yeah, like when I first started lifting, I was not in that mindset of you need rest in order to progress, and it can feel like I'm not doing enough. I'm being lazy. I'm not training as hard as I should. But once you start taking rest days and bring your your heart rate down, like to just a relaxed state, and actually let your body recover from the intense training that you're doing, you'll get stronger. So rest will make you stronger. It's just a matter of accepting that just because you're doing more doesn't mean you're going to get more.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Well, I think people also forget, especially for the goals of just like people who do want to get smaller or lose weight and feel better. I think they forget how important strength training is for that. It literally makes your body burn more calories, burn more fat, and keep it off forever. Talk about that.
So, yeah, the more muscle that you have on your body, the more calories that you're burning throughout the day and throughout the night. You know, the more that, like, I eat so much food, and people are so surprised when I do share on my social media like a full day of what I eat, or just the size of the meals that I eat, because you're like, you're so tiny, how are you eating that much? I'm like, because I fucking lift heavy, like 4 days a week. I'm training hard, and I have a lot of like muscle on my body, and it allows me to, and because I'm using a lot of calories every day, you know, like a walk, somebody who walks and doesn't have that much as much muscle on their body is not going to burn as much calories as someone who does. So it's like the more
Right.
the more muscle you have on the frame, the more calories you're burning day and night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you touched on something that I think that people forget when you said people don't realize how much I eat, but I think that's a big thing that we have to talk with clients about is how important it is to get your calories as high as possible, even if you're trying to lose weight. Do you still feel the same way?
I think, yeah, I do. I think it's definitely different for everyone. I don't think it's like just eat everything and, you know, overdo
Right,
it. And like
right,
I've definitely been there too, where I went from like not eating enough and then having this scarcity of not getting enough protein. And I think there's something to be said about like stressing about I have to hit this protein goal every day, no matter if even if I'm not hungry, and then you start overeating. You're just eating just to eat, you know, and that's where
yeah.
things need to be adjusted, you know, maybe like to switch the macros around. But I think it's all about balance, you know. It's like, are you just eating just to eat to hit a number, or are you actually hungry? You know, and I think there's a balance between that.
How would you teach someone that? How do you teach like someone who is in like that state of like, hey, I'm not hungry, but I know I need to get these numbers, but should I force feed myself? Should I not? Like, how do you handle that?
Right. Yeah, and I've definitely coached women through that who have gone from tracking every single thing to where they're stuck and they're not knowing. Well, I actually don't know when I'm hungry. You know, like if you're gonna tell me just to eat when I feel like eating, I'm just gonna eat all the time. And like it's not like you just eat when you feel like it. I think there needs to be some sort of routine, but also there needs to be like a asking yourself a question like, okay, like, is this, am I full? Like, not just finishing the food because it's on the plate. Like, are you, what's your energy levels like throughout the day? Like, are they low? Are you not sleeping well? Is it because you're waking up hungry in the middle of the night? You know, do we need to increase your food during the day to help you sleep better, to help your body relax and recover more? But I think it there's a lot of getting in tune with what your body's telling you and asking monitoring questions like your sleep, your performance in the gym, your mood, your energy levels. It definitely takes time to do that. You know, it's not like you just get handed a meal plan and like, okay, I just follow this easy. Like it's, but that once you have that, like, and you're in tune with your body and you have that for the rest of your life, you know, it's a skill for life. And it's like, yeah, just being more in tune with what it's telling you and the biofeedback it's giving you.
Yeah. I love that. That's so good. Let me ask you this a little bit more broad of a question for people who, because most people that are listening struggle with like losing weight, gaining it back, losing weight, gaining it back. What would be some Sarah principles like for your personal beliefs on how to have results that never leave, that stay?
I think there needs to be, like, if you want to do it long term, you need to have balance. It needs to be realistic to your life. It needs to be something that you enjoy. It needs to be, yeah, something that doesn't feel restrictive and make you feel like you're always pushing 100%, or you're always like overexerting yourself. You know, there needs to be some pushback as well, and some pullback, and some like a deload in your training, and you know, just like mostly finding a balance of how you can do this for life.
Yeah. That's so good. I love that so much. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the point, is like no one wants results and then to lose those results. Everyone wants their results to stick, but everyone's in this state of like, they'll lose the weight or get to where they want to be, but then it goes away, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, and I think it's a lot of being realistic with yourself. Like, I have some clients who are like, hey, I like to have a drink, you know, and I love that they're being honest with me. If they're like ashamed, or if they're afraid to tell me something, then it's not going to work. If that's something that they like to have, you know, and they're being realistic with themselves, and that's something that they enjoy, it's like, okay, how can we still do that, you know, with moderation, still get the training goals that you want, still have the physique goals that you want, but I think that starts with being realistic and owning what you like to do. Like, if you like to eat like a certain food that's really high in calories, okay, then let's keep that in your life, and let's figure out a way to have it where you can still get your performance and physique goals.
Yeah. I think it's so important, making your life work in your plan and not suppressing your life and what you love and value the most for fat loss. I think it's huge.
That's a zinger.
That's amazing. Sarah, this has been so good. I know, I'm sorry that I don't know why the technical stuff, but I'm so glad we did this.
Me too.
Where can people find you? That they hear this, they're like, this is awesome, I want to learn more about her. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Foot Finder. No, I'm joking. People can find me.
That's amazing.
I'm not on Foot Finder. You won't find me there.
That's hilarious.
People can find me on Instagram at Sarah Staples Fit, or if you're not on Instagram, my email is sarah@staplesfitness.com.
I love it. Awesome, girl. Well, I appreciate you doing this. It means a ton. We'll talk soon.